Testing, testing.
Purpose under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And at time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow. A time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the long-timers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. Please turn and help me welcome our friends joining on live stream. Hello and good morning. We are glad you're here. This Sunday falls during my very favorite Jewish holiday, which is the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. It is an autumn harvest festival, and today's worship will be exploring some of the spiritual themes of Sukkot and how we can bring them alive in our very own Unitarian Universalist Church community. If you're new to Throop, we love to stay in touch. You can fill out an info card that you find in the pew back in front of you. And each Sunday, we are reminded that each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame from our candles of hope and witness. Gathered here, our hearts open to the mysterious thread that connects us to each other and to the universe. Gathered here, we become one strong body, offering shelter to one another. Gathered here, we know the struggle and the power of creating and sustaining the community we desire. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop is the unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into dismantling systems of supremacies and oppressions. We light a third candle symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence holding all these things in our heart.
And as we continue gathering in, our opening hymn is Gathered Here in the gray hymnal. Turn to number 389 for Gathered Here, and please rise and sing out as body and spirit allow.
Mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle. Spirit,
and welcome them into worship. The season is turning. It may be gentle, but it is indeed turning toward fall. Berries form on the toyon. The Chinese elms show their beautiful, delicate green strands of seeds. And of course, the sun is taking its own sweet time to rise every morning. Where is it when my eyes first open? Each Sunday, we turn our hearts and minds to ways we can support the flourishing of all creation. And this morning, as we say our true promise to our planet, I invite you to hold close to your own heart and mind one gift that you receive from the turning of the season. As members of family of living being on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. With hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources, we promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. And this morning's responsive reading is on turning, and the congregational response is, we restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table. Let's say that together. We restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table.
Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange. The birds are beginning to turn and heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter.
We restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table.
For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong and this is never easy.
We restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table.
It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are hard to do, but unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways.
We restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table.
God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around, O God, and bring us back toward you. Revive our lives at the beginning, and turn us toward the shelter of each other. God, for in isolation there is no life.
We restore relationships with all creation, gathering all at our table. Thank you, Matthew. This week, I am celebrating the Jewish holiday of Sukkot in my home, and it is my very favorite, not just Jewish holiday, but I think of any holiday out there that I know about. And one reason I love it is because it's so intimately connected with our earth and with the cycles of life. And Sukkot is a Jewish harvest festival, and traditionally it would have been celebrated at a time when people were gathering in crops from the fields and fruit from the tree. And Sukkot takes place right before the rainy season arrives in full force. At least we hope it arrives this year with a force of almost any kind. We'll take the rain. And during each night of Sukkot, a special prayer is said to help welcome back the rains into our world. And a piece of the Sukkot celebration, and when you say prayers, is that you do it with what's called an etrog and a lulav. And how many of you know about lulavs and etrogs? Sasha's probably got one at home. Tom does. Dave does. I know more of you do. Some of you got to wave it last night. So the etrog is a type of citrus. And unfortunately, this one's not very fragrant, but I think it's great if you can find one that has a little bit of that citrusy fragrant. And then there is a date palm. There is also willow branches, and these are placed here on my left. And then there are also 3 branches of myrtle, and those are placed on the right. And then you pick up your lulav, and you pick up the etrog, and you hold them together. And there is a blessing that is said, and excuse my Hebrew as I do my best to share it in Hebrew and then in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al natilat lulav. And that's translated as, praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifying us with divine commandments has commanded us regarding the taking up of the lulav. And as a Unitarian Universalist who loves this holiday, I've also taken a little bit of my own whatever, and I have also offered a more Unitarian Universalist prayer, which is, blessed are you, source of all life. Thank you for connecting us with the gifts of creation, and help us do our best to tend to all life. And so with the lulav and etrog, you shake it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 6 times. I'm actually going to come down into the pews and invite some of you to shake it. And also when I come down and shake it, I invite you to do your best to listen in this big room, because part of the beauty of the lulav and the etrog is that when you shake these, it sounds a little bit like rain. And so then that's a little bit of the connection between waiting and hoping and praying for the blessing of rain and then actually bringing the sound. Can you hear it? Yeah, into our lives. And so to shake the lulav and etrog, I'm going to give you an example here, and then I'll come down and invite a few of you to shake it. You start in the front, and then you go to the left, and to the right, to the back, to the left, and then up, and then down. So may we hold in our hearts that the joy we know will still be here in the days to come, and hope that rains will indeed arrive for us. Just enough, though. We want just enough rain this year. And today the children will go to Kids Dig In with Paula and with Faith, and they are going to follow a trail of seed stories to learn more about our history and about our present here at Throop. And we sing them into the program.
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
Our pondering this morning is Season of Our Joy by Jody Rosenfeld. On the first day of Sukkot, I hold the four species in front of me, ready to shake. The straight, strong spine of the date palm mocks my own, curved like an S since puberty, two vertebrae fused in recent years. The eyes of the myrtle leaves, slightly out of focus, this close to my face, remind me of the 7 pairs of reading glasses that are strewn about my house, never on me when I seem to need them. The lips of the willow are so smooth, not like the fine lines beginning to emerge around my sagging mouth. And I squeeze the etrog and smell it, and my heart aches. Then, like hearing an angel whisper in my ear, the words surface. Zaman Simhatenu. This is the season of our joy. And I ask, how can joy be commanded? It hides from us around corners of fear, across chasms of grief, sometimes completely out of reach. Suddenly, I hear this commandment as a dare. I dare you to be happy. On the next day of Sukkot, I hold the 4 species in front of me, ready to shake. The straight spine of the date palm reminds me of all the times I have encountered a difficult situation with my head held high. The eyes of the myrtle leaves awaken me to the beauty of the fall colors. Crimson leaves, orange gourds, the yellow corn stalks crisscrossed across the top of my sukkah. The lips of the willow recall to mind so many kisses, lovers' mouths, the downy crowns of my newborn heads, the brow of my dear friend's body as she left this earth. I squeeze the etrog. I smell it. My heart swells. The mitzvah is to take the dare.
Surprised by joy, no song can tell, no thought can compass. Here we stand to celebrate eternal love, to reach for one another's hand. Beyond grace is this, best gift alone to mortals give, the love of parent, lover, friend, attunes our hearts to bliss of heaven. Faith, hope, and love here come alive. Life's deepest treasure is made known when in forgiving, giving all, inseparably we are as one.
This church is with us through all of the seasons of our lives, sometimes daring us to be happy, daring us to find joy, daring us to work for peace. And we support this congregation, this community in many different ways through gifts of time, gifts of talent, and gifts of treasure. Today, you're able to make a gift online to support the ministries of the church. You can make a gift here in the room. Thank you so much for all the ways you support our church. And if you're a first-time visitor, we ask that you let the offering plate pass you by. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matters small and great. We of all the ages, those who walk our way, young ones and sages, sharing all we can, sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
In a spirit of gratitude, we lift up all of those supporting today's worship service. Brad for running our live stream, Matthew, our lay reader, Christy and Mark for serving as greeters and ushers, Paula and Faith with the children's program, Kate leading the parents' conversation before service, and Tom for coming in early to make coffee for our conversation hour. And you all must know how relieved my heart is that the Throop band is back together. We welcome back Villery and Cynthia and Chris in the back row, where they're just keeping it real back there. Malcolm also came back to us. Yes, it feels like the circle of Throop is complete again. And as we pause in recognition for all the ways you all support our Throop community life, please share the gratitude for the gifts we share in the order of service. With gratitude for the ministries of the church that hold us and embolden us to love the world, we bless our offering and the many gifts we share. And our centering hymn this morning is How Could Anyone? It's in that teal hymnal, number 1053. And as we prepare to sing this together, I ask you to hold someone in your mind's eye that needs to be told just how beautiful they are. And it's possible that person is you.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
And as we continue to enter into stillness with one another, bring all of your awareness into this space, into this soft world that we create with each other each week. I invite you to take a gentle breath in and exhale. In this familiar place, the sounds of our Sundays hold us. The creaking pews, the clearing throats, the passing cars, the sighing all around. In this familiar place, the emotions and energies of our Sundays hold us. Feelings of comfort, curiosity, hope, lament. We do our best to bring our full selves, opening, yearning, needing the connection of each other as we contemplate the joys in our lives. And we also bring our full selves as we process the sorrows that we carry. On Sundays, we enter this space with So much rumbling around in our hearts and minds and spirits. Much of it remains unsaid, unknown to others, yet still we gather in the shelter of each other. Each silent thing waiting on the threshold between knowing and unknowing, between being hidden and being known. Find the stillness here and listen to it all. The breathing, the sighing, the movement, the holding back. Hear the tears that have not yet reached their eyes. Hear the laughter building deep where joy abides, despite everything. Listen, rejoice, and say, Amen.
The storms may push and foam, the dirt in which our roots may grow. Through the storms may push and pull, we will call this place our home. We'll tell our stories on these walls. Every year measure how tall, and just like a work of art, we'll tell our stories on these walls. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bones like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. A little broken, little new. We are the impact and the glue. Capable more than we know to call this fixer-upper home.
With each year our color fades, slowly our paint chips away.
But we will find the strength and the nerve it takes to repent and repent every day. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bones like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bones like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us
as wine, smaller than dust on this map, lies the greatest thing we have, the dirt in which our roots may grow, and the right to call it home.
This past week, the super moon rose overhead, casting its bright light over our gardens, our neighborhoods, our mountains, reminding us that she is indeed still up there. And with the coming of this full moon, we welcome Sukkot, a Jewish holiday, which, as I mentioned, is my favorite. Now you all know. And Sukkot is also known as the season of joy. And some of the themes lifted up during this holiday are celebrating the abundant gifts of our earth, praying for coming rains, and reminding us that we are indeed connected to all creation. We are not separate from it. And on the Sabbath that falls within the week of Sukkot, it's traditional to read passages from the book of Ecclesiastes. And one passage in particular speaks to the cyclical nature of this holiday and to the rhythms of our earth. And as I share this passage, I invite you to let the words wash over you and perhaps kind of feel a rhythm in your own body as you hear them. One generation goes, another comes, but the earth remains the same forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and glides back to where it rises, southward blowing, northward turning, ever turning blows the wind. On its rounds, the wind returns. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place from which they flow, the streams flow back again. The prayers and biblical verses read both at home and in synagogue during Sukkot reinforce our place within the interdependent web. And as an eco-feminist, the grounding theological ideas of this holiday really resonate with me. But what makes this holiday extra special is that this theology of connection is reinforced by a structure that you create out in your yard, your garden, your grounds. And it's called a sukkah. And it's really the heart of the holiday, at least it is for me. And the day after Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, Jewish households will start gathering together all their supplies to build their sukkah. And this gets built outdoors, and it's a temporary shelter. And the sukkah is meant to be a place of delight, a place that you welcome in your friends and family and loved ones, where you share gifts of food, conversation, and connections. The sukkah is not quite a tent. It's not quite a fort. It does have walls on 3 sides of it, and then it's partially open on the 4th side. That's how you get in and out. And the ceiling is made by laying bamboo poles across the top, rolling out bamboo mats on top of that, and then traditionally you would put date palm leaves up on top of it, but I like to use what I have available in my garden, and so mine is topped with branches of lemon and jacaranda trees. And so sitting there in the sukkah, you're both covered from the elements, but you're also, because you can see out of it, you're also really connected to the outside world. The structure is meant to be open to nature so that you can look up and see the stars, and so that you can be nurtured by the beauty of creation. And it is supposed to be a holy and fragile place. And this holy and fragile space is meant to remind us of our living, breathing earth, which is itself holy and fragile. I mean, enveloped in the shelter of the sukkah, we're reminded that we become shelter for each other in the midst of our own lives, which are holy and also fragile. Hand in hand, we provide shelter to one another in a world that seems increasingly anxious and fraught and troubling. And the world seems like that even more so today in the midst of this election season, where each week we are bombarded with hostility, with divisiveness, and with baseless accusations. We hear politicians belittling people based on their gender, their sexual orientation, their ability, their faith. And as a way to combat that and to stay as grounded as we can in our values, we need to turn to one another. For in isolation, there is no life. When we turn toward each other, we experience the many diverse gifts that each one of you bring into our holy and fragile community of Throop. And we all tend to this place so carefully and faithfully. And the thing is, the Throop that you know and love, it didn't just happen to be here and feel like this by chance. And Melanie is nodding her head because she knows. It is this place because of all that you put into it. And I often hear people say they're so grateful they found a place that's full of like-minded people. But honestly, each of you have your own unique ways of understanding the world, your own unique ways of processing information, of practicing your faith, of being in the world. You all have your own very distinct set of identities that make you who you are today. There is a stunning rainbow of differences here. And we're not held together by a creed, and we're not held together here by a set of doctrines. We are a people bound together by covenant, and our covenant is not enforced by law, but it's really of conscience and relationship. It's held together by the promises we make to one another about how we will speak and listen and honor and shelter each other. And if you've been here a while, you know that we take this seriously. And you know that it is as difficult and demanding as any religious tenet. And it's difficult and demanding just as being mindful to a spiritual practices. And in fact, some say that our commitment to covenantal community is the one spiritual practice that all of us here share. And it's difficult and demanding because despite our best intentions of showing up in the very best way that we want to show up, all of those differences that we carry, they can get in our way of one another. And I like to remind you all, at least once a year, that at some point in your time here at Throop, I will disappoint you. I am not going to say something strongly enough, or maybe I'm going to take a stand on something that you frankly can't believe that the pastor is taking a stance on. I'm going to use language at a time that is going to land on you the wrong way. And sometimes I'm not going to reach out to you soon enough in your time of need. And Throop as an institution, well, it will also at some point disappoint you. The church is going to move too slowly. Churches are known for doing that. We say things move at the speed of church, which is like an iceberg kind of pace. But sometimes the church is also going to move too fast. And you're going to wonder, why in the world didn't the church reach out to me about this decision or stance or change in how something is done in our Sunday or everyday practice? And somehow that change is going to make you feel like you were inadvertently left behind and not thought of. And it really hurts. And what then? What do you do? What do I do? Do we just turn away and not come back and decide we're going to try another church or another community, or we'll do that thing we hear called brunch in the Times on Sunday morning instead? Our covenant asks each one of us, when disappointment sets in, that we find a way to speak directly to me, to the person, to the church institution. And we don't turn away. We return to the shelter of one another. And we heard this echoed in today's responsive reading. It said, it takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we've been wrong, and that is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. This is always painful. It means saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change and that these things are hard to do. And we know how to do hard things, do we not? We do. But none of us said it was ever easy or simple or safe to live out our values as Unitarian Universalists. We keep trying. David Blanchard, a UU minister, wrote about covenant and promise keeping in a book of meditations, and he wrote, do more than simply keep the promises made in your vow. Do something more. Keep promising. As time passes, keep promising new things, deeper things, vaster things, yet unimagined things. Promises that will need to be made to fill the expanses of time and love. Keep promising. Our covenant is our home for holiness. And I think this idea of covenant, it can feel a little bit abstract. Now, we do have a covenant of right relations that's a page long, a lot of words in it, but that can be hard to explain to newcomers, this idea that we are bound by the promises we make to one another, and it can be hard to remember in the heat of the moment. And so I have this dream that we as a congregation will create a ritual way for us to embody our covenant, to make it feel more real, and to celebrate the promises we make to one another. And I have been inspired by my very own sukkah out in my yard put up for Sukkot. And so I'm not suggesting that we somehow just take that ritual and put our own faith on it, because that is appropriation and we don't want to do that. But we can be inspired by rituals that we know and love from other traditions. And so imagine, if you will, that we have 1 week that we set aside each year here at Throop, and we build out on the courtyard patio, we build our own covenantal structure out there. The flooring would be the patio flagstones, and all over the flagstones we could draw hearts or write the word love, which shows the centering ethic of our faith, which is love. That would be the grounding of it. We could put 6 walls around it to give it some enclosure, and each wall could represent one of our 6 Unitarian Universalist values. I think the walls would have to be rainbow colored, but I'm open to suggestions on the rainbow coloredness of it. Sheltering us from above would be the branches of our bottle brush tree, celebrating around 90 years old. And so the branches of that tree connecting us to our earth, but also connecting us to the many stories of our religious ancestors who came before us. And then during the week of our covenantal celebration, we would write our own renewed promises on ribbon or long strips of paper or something, promises about how we want to be in relationship with each other, our hopes, our dreams, our intentions to keep turning back to one another, even in times of struggle. And we could place those written promises on those bottle brush branches, our promises covering our heads, floating around us, holding us in place. And at the end of the week, we could create a service where we recommit to our shared covenant with one another for the coming year. That's just my idea of something to do. I welcome your ideas. I do. Because this is your church. It is your holy and fragile and beautiful and supportive and meaning-making place of belonging. And so with our arms stretched wide, may you turn to one another, providing shelter for each other, open to new vision, dreaming about what can be, bringing more hope and more peace into the world and into our lives. And we sing together a closing song called In the Shelter of Each Other. It's a call and response, and Malcolm may have some directions for us.
Indeed. I believe you have those lyrics printed in your order of service. I think there might be a reversal of one of the lines, but you're just going to repeat after me, and the choir is going to help you learn your part, all right? So we're going to learn this all together. Would you rise with me in body or in spirit? So repeat after me. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. Yeah, that's it. Hold that again. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. Many times the weight of the world crashes in, and we feel angry and afraid. We start to lose our sense of hope, our sense of direction. In isolation we have learned will not bring much in return if we truly cannot learn to live as one. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise.
Our chalice is extinguished. We carry its light with us. Gently take the hand or shoulder of your neighbor. If that doesn't feel right for you today, you can just gently put your hands across your heart. And as we have this gesture of a connection, let's remember that we are indeed living in the shelter of one another. May we keep hoping and dreaming, reaching for wisdom and courage in all that we do. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen, and blessed be.